everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to teach you how to make the Mosaic rectangle blanket. You can make this blanket using any size yarn or any hook size that you use. I suggest using the hook side that corresponds with the type of yarn that you are using. Today I'm going to be using Karen Chunky Cakes. I really like making these blankets with chunky cakes because it works up fairly easy. I can usually get a blanket done with picking it up throughout the day in about a week or so when I use chunky yarn. And I am going to be using a size 8 millimeter hook. Okay, so let's get started. So to start, you are going to chain 21 plus 3. So you are going to make a slip knot, and then we are going to chain 21. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So I have my 21 chains, and then now I'm going to chain up 3. 1, 2, 3. And this chain 3 counts as your first double crochet. And then you are going to double crochet into you're going to place 2 double crochets into the 4th hump from your hook. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Place 2 double crochets right there. 1 and 2. And then you are going to chain 1. Okay, so then you are going to move it, Stella. Sorry, that is my cat. Then into the next stitch, right here, you are going to place a granny stitch. I call it a granny stitch. Some people call it granny clusters, but I usually call it granny stitch. And it is 3 double crochets and a chain 1 into the same stitch. So into the next stitch, from where you place your 2 double crochets, you are going to place 3 double crochets and then chain 1. 1, 2, and then 3, and then chain up 1, and then your granny cluster or granny stitch is made. And then now you are going to skip 2 chains, 1, 2, and then you are going to place a granny cluster into that 3rd chain. 1, 2, and 3, and then chain 2. And then chain 1, sorry. And then you're going to place 3, and then you're going to continue that all the way into the end of the round. You're going to skip 2 chain stitches, and then you're going to place a granny stitch, granny cluster stitch into the next chain. So I'm going to show you that again. So here are 2 humps, 1, 2, skip those ones, and then place a granny stitch into that 3rd chain right there. So 1, 2, and 3, and then chain 1. So skip 2 more humps, 1, 2, and then place a granny stitch into that 3rd. 1, 2, 3 double crochets, and then chain 1. So you're going to continue doing that until you get to your last chain, last hump. Okay, so this is what it looks like now, and I am at the end of my chains, and I only have 1 more chain left right here. And then what you're going to do, you're going to chain 1. So now you should have 2 chains. And then you're going to place a granny stitch into your last chain. So 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And then you are going to chain 2. And then you're going to turn your work. So this chain 2 that we did previously right here, right before we did this granny stitch, is one of your corner stitches that we just made. And then this chain 2 is another corner stitch that we just made. So now you are going to turn your work, and you are going to work a granny stitch, into this space right here underneath your granny stitch right here. So this is how it is right now after you did your last chain 2. Turn your work so that you're working underneath your granny stitches that you just made. And then right here, you are going to put a granny stitch. So 1, 2, and 3. And then chain 1 to finish that off. And then now, all the way until the end, you are going to place granny stitches into the gap right underneath your previous granny stitches. So I do that one more time. Here we go. Put a granny stitch right there. So 3 double crochets and a chain 1. And then here's my other granny little hole. Place a granny stitch, right there. And you're going to repeat this until you get to your last hole underneath your previous granny stitches. And I will meet you back at the end. Okay, so I'm at the end and I only have to place one more granny stitch underneath this last little hole. So it's the hole right before your chain 3, beginning chain 3. So place that, make a granny stitch, 3 double crochets and a chain 1. There we go. And then you're going to chain up one more so that you can make your corner. And then to end this round, you are going to slip stitch into the top of your beginning chain 3. And then this is what it should look like. There you go. Your rectangle is starting to be made. So this pattern is only a one row repeat. So it's going to be super simple and it only consists of 3 rows to start it off. So we are going to get started on round 2. Okay, so let's start round 2. So to start round 2, you are going to chain up 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you are going to place 2 double crochets into this chain 2 space right behind your beginning chain 3. Just like this. 1, 2, and then you're going to chain 1. Now this is your first corner, half of your first corner cluster made. And we're going to start every round like this. So the next step is to put a granny stitch, cluster stitch, corner stitch into this chain 2 space. So every chain 2 space, you are going to do a granny cluster stitch. And that is by placing 3 double crochets into that chain 2 space. 1, 3, and then chaining 2, 1, 2, and then putting 3 more double crochets back into that chain 2 space. And then chaining 1 after. And now your corner is made. Now you're going to, in your chain 1 spaces, you are going to put granny stitches, which are 3 double crochets into the chain 1 space, and then chaining 1. There we go. Now here we are at another chain 1 space, so put granny stitches in there, and that is 3 double crochets in the chain 1. I know some people call it granny cluster stitches or granny stitches. I usually go back and forth from granny stitches or granny cluster stitches. It's all the same, just 3 double crochets in the chain 1, all in the same stitch or space. So now you're going to want to put granny stitches into every chain 1 space, and then you are going to want to put granny cluster stitches into every chain 2 space. So I will get you to the chain 2 space so I can show you what I'm talking about. Chain it up 1. Okay, so I made it to my corner in chain 2 space. So now to do your granny cluster stitches, you put 3 double crochets into that chain 2 space, and then chaining up 2, 1, 2, and then 3 more double crochets back into that chain 2 space. And now you can see it just naturally starts turning. And then chaining up 1, and then now my next space is a chain 2 space, so I need to put another set of granny cluster stitches in there, 3 double crochets, and then chaining up 2, and then 3 more double crochets, all in that chain 2 space, and then chaining 1. So, and then now we are on the other side. So for this side, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to put granny stitches, which are 3 double crochets and then the chain 1 into your chain 1 spaces. And right here, I will meet you back here, and we're just going to finish off this corner cluster stitches. So now I am at the end, and I have to finish off this corner. Right here in the beginning, we started the corner, and now we're going to finish it off, and we're going to place 3 double crochets into that chain 2 space. And then we are going to chain up 2, 1, 2, and then we are going to slip stitch into the top of that beginning chain 3. Oops. It's a little tight, and then that finishes off round 2, and this is what it should look like. Now we have one more round, and then round 3 you're just going to repeat. My cat is always getting in the way. And then you're going to round 3 is just going to be the repeat round, and you're going to do round 3 over and over again until you get to your desired length. So let's start round. Okay, so for round 3 to start, you are going to chain up 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to place 2 double crochets into that chain 2 space right behind your beginning chain 3. And again, this is how you're going to start every single round. And then you're going to chain 1, and then now we are at a chain 1 space, and we are going to put a mosaic granny stitch into that, and that is putting 1 double crochet into that chain 1 space, and then doing a front post treble around the middle double crochet from the previous round, like that. Yarn over, go through 2 loops, yarn over, go through 2 more loops, and yarn over and go through the last 2 loops, and then you're going to place a double crochet back into that chain 1 space, and then you're going to chain 1, and then that is a mosaic granny stitch. Now we are at a corner, and we're going to put granny corner clusters in there, which are 3 double crochets, 2 and 3, and then chaining up 2, 1, 2, and then placing 3 more double crochets back into that chain 2 space, and then chaining up 1. And your corner is complete. Now we are at another chain 1 space, and you are going to put a mosaic granny cluster in there, and again it's putting a double crochet into that chain 1 space, and then front post tripling over around the middle double crochet from the previous round, and then placing a double crochet back into that chain 1 space, and then chaining up 1. So you're going to continue doing that all the way around, placing mosaic granny clusters into the chain 1 spaces, and then placing granny corner cluster stitches into the chain 2 spaces. And I will meet you at the end to finish off round 3. Okay, so I am back at the top, and I'm going to finish off the round by placing 3 double crochets into that chain 2 space, and then chaining up 2 to finish the corner, and then slip stitching into the top of that beginning chain 3. And that is the end of round 3. And I like to kind of stretch it out a little bit, especially if you are a tight crocheter. Doing a little stretch here and there helps the work from not kind of like going like that. So you're going to continue doing round 3 over and over again, and when you do your mosaic clusters, it's not always going to be a previous round double crochet, the middle double crochet. Once you start going, you're going to do your front post treble around the previous round's front post treble. And I will show you that real quick so you can see what I am talking about, and then after that you just go and finish your blanket. It's really that simple. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about when I mean you're not always going to front post treble around a previous round double crochet. So here I am at a chain 1 space, and I have 3 double crochets underneath. So I'm going to do my mosaic granny stitches into that chain 1 space and front post tripling around the previous round chain 1. And then chaining up to 1, and then here we are at another chain 1 space where we have to put a mosaic granny stitch in, and this time this one has a front post treble that we did on the previous round. So you're going to front post treble around this one. So you're going to place your double crochet inside in that chain 1 space, then you're going to front post treble around the previous round's front post treble, and then put in a double crochet back into that chain 1 space, then chaining up 1. Now here we are at another chain 1 space, and we're going to do a mosaic granny stitch, and this time we are front post tripling around the middle double crochet from the previous round, and then placing our 1 double crochet back into that chain 1 space, and then chaining up 1, and now we are at a corner, and you put your granny corner cluster stitches into the chain 2 space. So that's what I mean by now that you're going on, you're only really going to put your front post treble around the previous round's double crochet right before your corner stitches, and then all of your other chain 1 spaces are going to be you're going to be placing your front post treble around the previous round's front post treble. And that is it. That's all to this blanket. It's so easy, and it turns out to be so cute, and I just love this stitch so much. I'm like so obsessed with the stitch. You can do anything with it, and it makes everything look so beautiful. If you decide to make this blanket, tag me on any form of social media. I love to see your work and how you guys do different color patterns and stuff. It really makes me happy. And then I will have the written pattern on my blog, I want to say around in November. I have to redo everything. So the written pattern will be up, but it won't be up anytime soon. So, bye everyone. I hope you enjoy.